Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics and Living Word. 5 minutes of your time to get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about the mission of divine mercy outside of San Antonio, Texas, showing its full true colors by revealing that the pastor and the messages that have been received there state that Pope Francis is in fact an usurper. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri, Filio, et Spiritui Sancto, secut eram principio, et nunc et semper, et saecula saeculorum. Amen. This topic is dear to my heart because I live near there, and I used to attend the mission of Divine Mercy for about a year. I do have previous episodes about this topic when it was revealed. Father John Mary, who is the pastor there, or the priest there, it's in a parish, so I guess you really can't call him a pastor, but he runs the flock over there. When he started to reveal the messages, the interlocutions that Sister Amapola was having, and one of them was that the messages were saying that Francis was an usurper to the throne. That's when I did an episode on that, and so I thought I'd do a follow-up because recently in their YouTube channel and in their podcast they had some new videos where they really fleshed out what they mean by that. And so they did 5 questions as to like what's the relationship between, what is their view on Francis. And with the interlocutions, I would say that Sister Amapola had the message that Francis was an usurper. That was revealed probably, we're in September, probably in the spring. But I don't think Father John Mary ever openly agreed with that. But in this video, it's pretty clear. And I'll put the link in the episode notes, like within the 4th or 5th minute, when he's answering the questions, whether or not straight out, do they believe Francis is a usurper? They say yes. And, it's tough. It's tough for me because I like Father John Mary. And I'll be clear, I was never like a close insider there. I did receive counseling from Father John Mary, and I attended Mass there on Sunday because it is open to the public, confessions and Mass and retreats, for about a year. But I'm not going to say that I was an insider or I knew Father John Mary well or anything like that, or any of the sisters there. I don't. I'd say that I attended Mass and I loved attending Mass there. But when these messages were released that they believe Pope Francis was an usurper, I couldn't in good conscience go. So I go to either the main church in New Braunfels, Texas, where this is outside of, the mission's outside of, or I go to a church of the Ordinary of St. Peter over in San Antonio. But either way, it pains me because I miss going to Mass there. But I can in good conscience go there. And here's the question. So, it's like, I read the comments on the YouTube episode they released, and they were all very positive, and I understand why they're positive. But I kind of go back to the underlying message I did on the first video. And anytime you express reservation of any private revelations, especially revelations that are stating that the church is in apostasy, I'm automatically a modernist, radical, leftist sellout, right? Because there can't be any just kind of like a prudential, moderate view of this. And I like to think that I have that. Now, if you are a stern supporter of the MDM, of Mission Divine Mercy, you're going to think that I'm completely wrong, right? Because you firmly believe this is okay. And so I just want to bring some points. And I don't expect to convince you of anything, just some points. Because I am a traditional Catholic, but I do hold allegiance to Rome. And as I said in the first episode, you can't adjudicate your own visions. You can't adjudicate your own interlocutions. You can't adjudicate any type of supernatural intervention. The church was given the power to bind and unbind, as you see in Matthew 16. The church, founded by Jesus Christ on the keys of Peter, was given that power to bind and unbind. And in this case, the power to determine whether or not supernatural revelations of any sort are licit or illicit, valid or not valid. And we have an episode here we did a few years ago on how the large majority of Marian apparitions are not held by the church pre-Vatican II and post-Vatican II to be held as something that is worthy of a devotion. So most famous ones would be Medjugorje, or Garabandal, and then more specious ones would be like Our Lady of Bayside. But the majority of apparitions are dictated by the church after a due investigation as not being worthy of devotion. Only a small select, and these are going to be famous ones like Zaitun and Akita and Fatima and Lourdes and La Salette and whatnot, are approved. So we kind of have to look at it that way. But look, here's the issue. You can't adjudicate your own visions. You just can't. Because you're not impartial. And you were not given the power to bind and unbind. And I understand Father John Mary, and I understand the view of the MDM is they truly believe that they are receiving messages from not just God, but Jesus and a few of the saints. And you can listen or read all these messages that they've been receiving at their website. And they truly believe it's that. And so if God is telling you that there's an usurper on the throne, I can totally understand why they would believe that. I would totally understand that. I'm totally sympathetic to that. But you can't adjudicate your own visions. And the church was given the power to determine these things. Now, the response that they would likely give is, well, the church is in apostasy, as dictated by Our Lady of La Salette. So, in other saints. Now, remember, when someone has been determined as a saint, it does not necessarily mean that the church says that everything that has come out of their mouth is right and true. It just means that they're in heaven. So, if you look at 3 Days of Darkness, which is another prevalent kind of theme right now, a lot of people believe in that. That's private revelation, doesn't trump public revelation, it never does. Public revelation, which is a sacred oral tradition in the Bible, will always trump private revelation. And so even if you find saints that say that there's going to be an illumination of conscience and 3 Days of Darkness and all this, it doesn't mean they're right. Just because a saint has said, not everything a saint says is right. Even the probably most learned saint that we've ever had, Thomas Aquinas, has said things that are wrong, that the church has said is wrong, but he's still a saint. Other ways, so they'll say that that Our Lady of La Salette said that Rome would be an apostasy. Maybe it is an apostasy. Maybe it will be an apostasy. We don't know. There's no way to know from your basement in Wichita Falls, Texas, if the church is an apostasy. And my point is this. If you look at St. Faustina was obedient to her superiors and waited decades for her visions to be released. And I just think in this case that would have been the case. But the central point of this is the mission of divine mercy doesn't have the power to bind or unbind or determine if these visions are authentic. So who has that power? Well, that power was given to Peter. That power was given to the magisterium, Rome, to determine that. And if you say that they no longer hold that power to bind and unbind because they're in apostasy, okay, well then who has it? Christ established a visible church that was the gates of hell would never prevail over, right? That he would be with us till the end of time. So he didn't say like they'll be valid and we'll be with you till the end of time and you have the power to bind and unbind until 1962. Before, Vatican II, or until a specified date. He didn't say that. So somebody has the power to bind and unbind. And if it's not Rome, then who has it? We don't have it. I don't have it. And to think that I have the power, you have the power, or the mission of divine mercy has the power to adjudicate its own visions is a definition of hubris. Because you don't. You don't have the power to adjudicate your own visions because you're not objective. Someone needs to come outside from that person who's receiving the messages and look at the psychological factors. Look at the medical factors. Look at the supernatural ones. Look at, is it really from God and not the devil? Now, I'm not saying, for those of you who are watching this from Mission Divine Mercy, that Sister Emma Pola is receiving messages from Satan. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there needs to be an investigation. And the Mission Divine Mercy is not in a position to do its own investigation. That has to be done by Rome via the bishop. And I understand the bishop has not been forthcoming. I get that. But you can't go Wild Wild West and just go your own way. You can't. Because who goes their own way? Right? If we say that the church no longer has the power to bind and unbind, that I have the determination and the power to bind and unbind, determine what's authentic, what's not authentic, then who are we? We're Protestants. We're Protestants. Because that's what the Protestants do, right? And that's the issue with any type of Sedevecantist or schismatic group, is they're taking the onus on themselves to say that they're right or they're authentic. You don't have that power or ability. That's hubris. And I get it. I understand why people who go there and still go there support it, because they're scared, like all of us, right? The church is not in the best place right now. It's not. And out of fear, you're going to want to believe what you want to believe. But guys, you can't adjudicate your own visions. You just can't. There needs to be a determining group that was given that power to do that. And we know that was the church. And you can't pick and choose when you can say, oh yeah, the church had that power in 1858 when they determined, Pius IX determined that Lourdes was valid. But now they don't, right? It's too arbitrary. Christ didn't say, gates of hell will never prevail until 2024, right? He didn't say that. And I just say, guys, have some humility, practice prudence, and let an outside investigation occur. So we can determine and we can rule out psychological, physical, and other factors. And in humility, I would say stop releasing these messages and let the investigation happen. And then if the investigation says that it is valid, like with St. Faustina, the irony, right? St. Faustina, Mission of Divine Mercy, then great. And if it doesn't, be obedient to that as well. So get it. You think Rome's an apostasy, but somebody still has the power to do the investigation. We can't do our own investigation. We can't adjudicate our own visions. Because then we're no better than the Protestants. No offense to our separated brothers in Christ. Guys, post in the comments if you agree or disagree. Until next time, take care. God bless.